What if I told you that there was a scientist that predicted the progress of AI models like ChatGPT in 1999? And this scientist didn't just give a ballpark of the time, he said the year 2023.
How do you know? How do you know?
In his 1999 book, The Age of Spiritual Machines, computer scientist and futurist Ray Kurzweil declared a theory that continues to prove true, even today, the law of accelerating returns. Kurzweil, noticing the rapid rate of human technological advancement, suggested that the growth of technological capacity increases exponentially. Most people in 1999 probably laughed at this idea, but Kurzweil had the last laugh. His trendline declared that $1,000 in computation cost will be equal to one human brain in the year 2023. And ChatGPT in 2023 did in fact meet those requirements. However, if Kurzweil's initial 2023 prediction was correct, that means that there's a possibility that his 2050 prediction is correct, which is very scary. Kurzweil suggests that by 2050, $1,000 in computation power, only $1,000, can mimic the effective computation power of all human brains. And this leads us to a very valid question. If AI can mimic the computation power of all human brains for just $1,000 in 2050, does that mean it's going to take our jobs by then or even before? Honestly, my answer to this is I'm not quite sure. If you've gone down this rabbit hole as long as I have, you may realize that there are two main groups of people, the optimists and the pessimists. The optimists, led by people like CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, suggest that if we get closer and closer to AGI, or artificial general intelligence, meaning an AI is fully on par with a human, then we can make it easier for people to do their work. However, the pessimists, like the world's richest man, Elon Musk, suggest that by doing this work to advance AI further and further, there are only going to be negative consequences on the way we work and our society. My job is not to pick a side in this video, but to analyze the key factors that could help someone like yourself make a decision, and hopefully to get some personal clarity in the process. The first factor that I want to talk about is what job you actually work. This changes a lot of things because people like to say the blanket statement, AI is going to take our jobs. But you have to decide what jobs you're talking about to see if AI will actually take those jobs. Let's say you're a customer service representative. Your job is solely to make calls to customers who gave bad reviews on the company website and ask them why they had a bad experience if it was not detailed in the review. You make multiple calls, let's say 200 calls a day, and you're able to succeed in your task by getting a clear-cut answer from your customer, let's say 5% of the time. Now, imagine an AI comes into your role. One of the biggest skills of an AI is iterative learning. Basically, the AI gives you slow and iterative feedback on how to improve your sales calling approach until you have completely optimized your sales process. Now, imagine if that AI didn't give the feedback to you, but gave it to itself and just continued to improve slowly but surely without anybody giving it any guidance or sales advice. As a result of that, AI models might even bring in 10, 15, 20% more success than you are in your customer service representative job. Some of the jobs that I would argue aren't as at risk currently are physical jobs, like a plumber or a mechanic. Because one of the golden rules around tech is that software only moves as fast as its hardware component. And while Tesla is putting out $70,000 robots, the AI isn't there yet. So physical labor is, in my opinion, pretty safe from the AI boom, at least for now. That's one of the key factors, what kind of a job you work. One easy way to assess if your job is going to get disrupted by AI is to simply check if there are any companies trying to disrupt you actively. If you can find some companies, chances are there are people trying to disrupt you. Let's move to the next factor, regulation. Let's say you're the president of the United States, and tomorrow someone comes up to you and tells you that there are a group of AI companies slowly developing a product that, if put into the market, will almost instantly kill millions of jobs. You have a responsibility as the President of the United States and as the head of the government to maintain a fair and indifferent perspective to economics. That's the laissez-faire idea. However, you also have a responsibility as somebody in the government to take care of your citizens and make sure that they have jobs. You are now in the conundrum of whether you regulate this company or not. Regulation is a very key factor in this discussion because I feel like a lot of people overestimate the amount of leeway that AI has in the regulatory department. Many people think that regulation will actually stunt the Kurzweil curve and stop it from growing any further, kind of like a concrete ceiling. However, many people think that that ceiling is glass and that governments will stop regulating when they realize the benefit of AI to their economies. Or the government literally won't regulate anything in the first place. One example that's often given to explain why it's not likely that AI will be regulated is the example of industrial labor and steelworkers. Over the span of a few years, steelworkers and many other individuals who are involved in the industry were completely replaced by technology, which is responsible for creating higher margins and reducing error, as well as increasing speed. What that means is an entire generation of these industrial workers almost went without a job. Entire towns died out. And while the kids of these industrial workers were able to get jobs and revitalize the economy, an entire generation was disrupted. So what happens when the speed of the disruption is so fast that future generations don't get a chance to adapt before they're disrupted again? One interesting thing to think about in this whole situation is that the government didn't do much regulation on technology, even though they knew it would disrupt steelworkers. So you have to ask yourself, will the government really regulate now? The scope of the destruction on the job market could be much larger, but they would be violating their laissez-faire rights, and some AI optimists might claim that it's actually better for the economy for majority of human jobs to be automated because the quality of the work might actually increase. Now, in this video, we've discussed multiple factors like what jobs will actually be disrupted or governmental regulation, but both of those only exist if the AI actually gets there. Kurzweil's model follows an exponential curve. What that means is slowly, an AI increases in strength and keeps growing infinitely. It keeps getting better and better and better and better until you can't figure out how good it is anymore. However, this could actually be incorrect. And while most people might be ready to jump on the bandwagon, including myself at some points, and tell you that it's just going to keep getting better, we don't actually know that for a fact. Because there's another model that actually identifies a lot of things in nature more accurately than an exponential curve, and that's a logistic curve. You start off very low, right, bottom of the barrel, and then you slowly increase and increase and increase, and you think it's exponential because you think you're going to go all the way up. But actually, there's a ceiling waiting for you. And as you get better and better and better, you slowly plateau and approach this line. That could be what AI's growth looks like. While we see a quick explosion right now, it could slowly slow down and not get to the same level as a human mind or multiple human minds. What I'm trying to say here is we don't actually know if the AI is going to be at that level or not. We just kind of have to wait and watch and continue to develop the model, see where it kind of takes us. However, there is a very possible reality that AI doesn't actually end up being all that it's hyped up to be. And in that case, it will unequivocally remain a tool, but not actually disrupt our jobs. Put yourself in the perspective of an ML scientist today. While you might think that following an exponential curve is the most likely thing that's going to happen, you could be completely blindsided by the fact that there's a ceiling to how far the AI can actually advance. So to summarize, there are three main factors that might actually tell us if AI is going to disrupt our jobs. One is the type of job that's going to be disrupted, and that kind of tells you what the time frame of it is. If you're a customer service representative, there's a possibility that you're disrupted earlier than, say, a mechanic. Another possibility is regulation. if the government regulates the growth of AI, then it's very possible that AI doesn't get to the level where it disrupts people. And third is the actual capability of AI to get to a point where it can disrupt humans. And the premise behind this is it can follow a logistic curve instead of an exponential curve. So these are the three main factors, in my opinion, to help you make a decision on whether AI will take your job or not. Honestly, this is probably a thought experiment and nothing more than that. But thinking about how AI will impact your job can actually help you to understand better ways to use AI, because the internal motto of Silicon Valley is to keep adapting so you're never disrupted. Thank you for watching this episode of Neural Bridge. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and watch out for more videos by me. And as always, let's bridge the gap together.